Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of 4Expedition Unplugged. I'm Scott Leuthold. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how it is I do what I do. How do I take all these adventures? How do I spend time living in Park City, Utah in the summertime, still be able to work and support myself? I also wanted to talk a little bit about upcoming adventures I've got that I'll be filming that you'll be able to watch in future episodes. And I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about upcoming events that 4Expedition's got scheduled starting in September that you'll be able to be a participant in. If you haven't become a subscriber, I encourage you to become one. Of course, be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified of upcoming videos. And of course, if you'd like to support 4Expedition, go to 4expedition.com and go to the store. We have a lot of great products in there you can buy. And if you'd like to become a member, go to patreon.com/4Expedition. Your support goes a long way to creating quality content for this channel. All right, everybody, before I go on, did you see that moose? I'm sitting here talking to all of you and filming this segment, and a moose comes in off the side of the camera. And I got to the end of the segment, I stopped it, I got up to stop the camera, and I turn around, there's this huge moose behind me, and I captured the whole thing on film. Watch this. Oh my God, there's a moose. That thing just walked up right behind me. I cannot believe it. I have never seen a moose this close. Oh my God, he looks like he's coming closer. I'm gonna keep the camera rolling, I'm gonna back up and move away, because these things can be pretty dangerous. Wow, okay, so where was I? Man, I was not expecting for that to happen at all in this episode. I'm really glad it did. I'm really glad I was able to capture that and share that all with you. Sometimes when things are really active and excited, you forget to hit the record button and you miss out on that opportunity. But I was able to hit record, zoom out, and capture the whole thing on film. What a cool opportunity. Okay, so what was I talking about? The first thing I wanted to share with all of you is how it is I'm able to do what I do. How do I take all these adventures? How do I spend a month living in Park City, Utah in the summer and still be able to work and support myself? I've had a number of people comment and send me private messages asking me a little bit more about this. I've had a couple of really great guys really want to talk to me more about how it is they can kind of create a new lifestyle for themselves. And I really want to help more people do that. So I'm going to share a little bit of information about that with you now. All right, so many of you probably already know this that watch my channel, but I ran a branding agency for 16 years. Well, actually, let me tell you a little bit more about my whole career. I'll just touch on it a little bit. In my early 20s, when I was in college, I actually got a job working for a local newspaper, and I was a graphic designer and editorial cartoonist. And I earned enough money there to save up and buy a whole computer system and printer and everything like that. And also while I was working there, I was in college, and while I was in college, I met somebody who gave me an opportunity to illustrate some children's books for a toy company that was based in Phoenix, Arizona. And I illustrated those children's books, and before you know it, they really liked my work and they offered me a position as an art director. And this was in college. I was still in college, and almost a six-figure income. It was really a pretty incredible opportunity for me. I worked there for a while, and before you know it, I was promoted to creative director and started building a design team. We ended up building it up to about 17 designers, and then I was promoted to director of product development. And I was responsible for like a $3 million annual budget, making toys for Pixar and DreamWorks and Star Wars and Anastasia and you name it. It was a pretty incredible opportunity. So I worked there for about 7 years. And after that, I ended up going solo for a little while. And a project that I picked up at that time was designing a brand for a startup company called LifeLock. And I designed that entire brand from the ground up. And as most of you probably know, if you know that name, they went public. They were bought by Symantec. They're a multi-billion-dollar company now. Well, after I finished designing that project, I actually went to work for a couple of .coms and worked in the .com area for a while. Ended up working for a company called Fitness Venture Group and ended up designing about 1,000 websites for health and fitness businesses like goldsgym.com, powerhousegyms.com. We did projects for Bowflex and Adidas, EAS, a Balance Bar, and that was really an incredible opportunity as well. I mean, I built a lot of health and fitness oriented websites. I have a lot of background in health and fitness. After that, I started my own business, and one of the first projects that I took on was to design, or I should say redesign, the entire brand for a company called Isagenix International. And Isagenix International is actually an international company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. It was at that time as well. Redesigned their entire brand from the ground up, and some of you may actually know their products or actually even use their products. I started my own branding agency after that. I hired some people, and then I downsized and went solo for a while, and then I hired some people again. And then after my son graduated high school in 2018, I wound that entire business up and decided I no longer wanted to do that. And I was actually going to move out of Arizona and start focusing specifically on 4Expedition. Well, around about that time, I got a phone call from the founder of LifeLock, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm starting up a new company, and I wanted to see if maybe you'd like to come to work for me as a chief marketing officer." So I did that for about a year and a half, and in December of 2019, I wrapped that up, and in January of 2020, I went into 4Expedition full-time, and it is predominantly what I do. I do take on a couple of clients on the side. So that is my business, and that is my career background. So let's talk a little bit more about what I'm doing right now and how I'm able to sustain myself. He's coming back. I was just gonna, holy I gotta go. He's going a little quick. I'm gonna zoom out. He's coming back here. Oh my God. He's just walking around in people's front yards over here. And I think what I'm going to do is this water feature behind me here is all dried up. And when we rented this place, we got here, it was all dried up and turned off. We might actually add some water in the little pond down below because I'm sure that's what he's looking for. So who knows, maybe we'll have other moose encounters here in Park City, Utah sometime soon. While we're still here, I've got another couple weeks here. Should be an exciting time. All right, so back to the subject at hand. I wanted to talk a little bit about how back in 2012, I decided to hit the road for a while. I was working from home. This was when I had the boutique agency and I was working solo. And I was working from home. I was getting up in the morning early, working all day on my computer on projects for clients. And then around 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I would go to bed and get up in the morning and do the same thing over and over. And I started to really realize how repetitive that was. It sort of felt like Groundhog Day. And I had this spark of an idea at that moment that, heck, I could do this from anywhere. Why am I doing this from, especially in the summertime in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona in the summer, which was 122 degrees. It was ridiculous. So I took all my stuff, I sold a bunch of it off, and then I put the rest of it in storage. And I had my Jeep Rubicon at the time. I loaded all that up, and with my son, we took a 3-month road trip through Colorado, up to Wisconsin, and then I put him on an airplane and I flew him home to start school, and I decided to continue on for a little while, and he flew home to his mom's house and spent the fall living at his mom's full time. And I ended up taking a trip down to Florida with the Jeep and then up the eastern seaboard, spent some time in Manhattan, and I flew my son in at that time during a fall break, and he spent some time with me in Manhattan, and we rented a cabin up in upstate New York. And then after that, I flew him home, went up to Quebec, and then across the United States over to Jackson, Wyoming to spend Thanksgiving with my cousin. And then I went over to San Francisco. It was just really an incredible trip, and it ended up being a 13,000 mile, 9-month road trip. And I had my work with me, and I was able to still get everything done that I needed to get done. At the time, though, I didn't have anywhere to work with my vehicle, so I had to sit in coffee houses during the day, drive around at night, and go and experience things as I had time to do. So I wanted to preface by saying that because I'm in a similar position now. Basically, what I've done is I've downsized my businesses and my clients down to just a couple of clients, and I will take on 1 or 2 clients, new clients at a time, while I'm doing 4Expedition and filming. My main focus is 4Expedition, videos, the website, building the e-commerce solution. I plan on launching a membership portal pretty soon. I've built membership portals from the ground up myself before with a good friend of mine named Steve. But I intend to launch all of that real soon. But in the meantime, I'm actually working on client projects doing branding and website development. Now, you don't have to be a website developer or a designer like me in order to be able to work on the road. There's a lot of different ways that people can work on the road. Now, if you have a family, it makes it much more difficult. Some people aren't really looking to be on the road all the time. Maybe they just want to be self-sufficient, work from home, and have more free time and be their own boss. That brings me to the next really important point. The next really important point is that no matter when I can think about my career, any time throughout my career, I never once considered myself unemployed. I either considered myself employed or I considered myself self-employed. And I think that's a matter of mentality. Anybody out there that right now, especially during this difficult time, lost their job, their business is dying, or what have you, needs to stop for a moment and not see themselves as unemployed, not see themselves as unemployable. Always, no matter what, consider yourself self-employed. If you lost your job recently because of a downsizing or something like that, you basically went from being employed by an employer and having a boss to being your own boss. And at that point, it becomes incredibly important to start thinking like you're your own boss. What are you going to do about your finances? What are you going to do to make a living? What are you going to do to support your family? What are you going to do to continue pursuing all of the dreams that you've had all the while you were employed? I heard something over my shoulder. I wanted to make sure it wasn't my good friend in the dark brown coat. So as they say, knowledge is power. So I'm going to share some knowledge with you that I think is really valuable, and I've shared with a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people figure out their lives and their careers and get themselves on a path toward doing something in their life that they're passionate about. So I want to share that all with you just ever so briefly. So let's talk about information assets. There was a time in the United States where we had this thing called a gold rush. We are in a gold rush right now. It's just not that it's collecting little chunks of gold. It's basically having and leveraging the things you know, information. We are in the information age. We're in the information race, and you have the superhighway that you're entering onto. There are a lot of things that you know, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've come from, no matter what your background is, no matter how much college you've gone to, no matter how many books you've read, it doesn't really matter. None of that matters. What matters is you know something. There's something you know. And you know what? There might be other people that know that thing too. But it doesn't mean that you can't be just as successful as the next person leveraging that information online to make money. And there's a whole process that I've figured out over the course of the last 15 years, 16 years running my own agency on how to do that. And I want to share some of that with you. So basically, let's say you've got a child with cerebral palsy. Well, you have information about that I don't. Let's say that you have you've given birth to 3 children at once. You've had triplets, and you've raised 3 kids. Well, let's say I was getting married, and let's say I had some children with my partner, and we had 3 kids. I would know nothing about that, and the first thing I would do is get online to figure that out. Let's say you know how to fix a carburetor. I might not know how to do that, but I'm going to tell you right now that last fall, I didn't know how to use Adobe Premiere, which is the software that I use to edit this video right here. And the first thing I did was get on YouTube and figure out how to do it by watching what other people were doing. And there were probably a good 5 or 6 people that I leaned on in their videos to learn how to do what I do. And I've actually bookmarked some of those, so when I'm learning new things, I'll go back to their videos, and sure enough, they'll have a video on that. It is anybody's game. There could be 1,000 people that are talking about the same subject, and it does not matter. Your channel has just as much opportunity to be successful as anybody else's. Now, okay, maybe you don't want to do a YouTube channel. There's other ways to leverage information online. You definitely need to create a website. If you have a website, your website itself can have enough information on it to share with the world. If you go on forexpedition.com, you go under the journal. I've got a lot of great articles in there. I keep adding more and more articles. My website, since I launched it earlier this year, the new version, I've seen a steady increase in the number of people going to that website. Well, my point is, over the course of time, the more traffic that you have, the more viewers you have, the more of an audience that you have, the more opportunity you have to leverage that information online to make money. You can sell that information, you can sell parts of that information, you can sell products around that information. All it takes, first and foremost, is getting somebody's ear, and getting enough people's ear that you can use that to leverage online and make a sustainable living out of it. So let's talk a little bit about information assets. So there's a lot of different things that we all know. And what I like to do in my talks is have people get out a piece of paper and draw a circle in the middle of that piece of paper and put their name in it. And then what I like to do is have them take arms and draw arms out from the edges of that circle and create other circles that outline all the different things that are going on in their life, or all the different things in their life that they feel they're knowledgeable about in some way or another. Okay, let's say you were a child and your parents got divorced when you were a kid. Well, there's information that you have that other people don't have. You could share that information with other kids online and help them through a situation. Let's say that you've had breast cancer, and somebody that experiences breast cancer for the first time, and they need some help to get through it. You have information to share with them online. It's anybody's game. So there is, once you create that life map, after you've created that life map, what you really want to do is you want to start highlighting all the things in that circle, or around that circle, that you not only have a lot of information about, but you have passion for. You want to have something that you know a lot about, that you have some passion for, so that you have the ability, like me right here, right now, to be able to talk with you and not have any problems sharing information without really having to try too hard. And if you have to end up staying up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning working on your website, working on writing articles, working on creating videos, or what have you, you'll have no problem doing that because you're passionate about it. It's something that you love to do. So my job right here, right now, is to share information with you so that I can help you create a life where you're doing something that you're passionate about and you can make money from it. It is anybody's game, and this is a viable model that I know works. I've helped other people make it work. I've watched other people make it work. I actually have a friend who's a nature photographer, and he created a multi-million-dollar business doing something very similar to this. And again, anybody's game. Another thing I want to talk about is debt. I've had a couple of people reach out to me recently and talk to me about, is there anything that they can do that I might know of to help them get out of debt? And I know that's a very difficult thing. I went through the 2008 crisis, and I will be completely honest with you. I had 3 homes at the time. 1 I was living in, 2 I had as rentals, and it was extremely difficult. I had to let go of them, and I had to basically start over, and it actually cost me a lot more than just money. And so I had to rebuild from the ground up and start an agency up again and all of that. And, the first thing that I would tell you is that there's different kinds of debt, right? There's different kinds of money. And each kind of debt has a different cost to it. So what you want to do first is you want to get rid of your highest cost debt. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't really even know all that much about finances, frankly. I just know that there's some money that you have that you've borrowed from somebody that costs more money than other money you've borrowed from somebody else. Your first job is to get rid of your highest cost money that you've borrowed, and then start consolidating. If you need to go see a consolidation service to help you consolidate all of your debt and so you can start making payments, and just be diligent about getting that paid off. I've been able to do that, and I got completely debt-free a while back, and I make sure that if I use a credit card every month now, I pay it off. And so at the end of every month, I don't have any credit card debt. And that's a really, really freeing emotional feeling. I'm telling you, feeling like you have debt and all of this weight on top of your shoulders is no fun. I'm sure there's people out there right now that are watching, and they can totally relate to this, and I totally and completely feel your pain. I totally and completely feel your pain, and I've been there. I'm here to tell you right now that there is a way out. You can get out from under it, and once you get out from under it, you're a much happier, light-hearted person, and you wake up every morning not so worried about things, and instead you start thinking about, what can I do with this thing that I've decided to embrace, this information that I have that I'm passionate about, and how am I going to push that forward? And you get up in the morning happy to get up, and you stay up until the wee hours of the night realizing you didn't even eat lunch or dinner. That happens to me all the time. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is needs versus wants. And we all have lists in our head of the things we want and need. And then if we're in a relationship with someone, we know our partner has lists in their head of all the things they want and need. If we're married with kids, we know our children want things and have different things that they need. And what tends to happen is that needs get taken care of first. A lot of children's wants get taken care of first. And for me, in the years that I was in a relationship where I was raising children, my needs were met, but the things that I wanted oftentimes fell to the back of the line. And I think it's really important to prioritize wants and needs among not only yourself, but among your partner and the other people in your family. Everybody should have an opportunity to feel like they're getting not only their needs met, but some of the things that they want met. So it probably goes without saying that it's important to prioritize our wants and needs and the things that we love. So make sure that when you do make your lists and you sit down with your partner and your children to make the lists of things that everybody wants and needs, that you prioritize those things and make sure that it involves all the things that everybody loves. There might be something that you love that's just as valuable to somebody else, and maybe they weren't really thinking of the same thing. And there might be a way to accomplish a want among more people in your family than just someone else or just you. So it's important to make sure that everybody gets what they want and need, and to prioritize that. I think one of the things that I experienced in my relationship and raising a family in the past was that I sort of lost myself. I became one with the family, which is really valuable and important, and everybody needs to feel secure and loved. But the real me sort of got lost in the mix. Now, some people might argue that the real me was the father and the husband and the guy with the career. But to be honest, there were parts of me that just got lost in the mix. And it wasn't until much later in life that I came to realize that and brought a lot of those components back to who I was. And what I came to realize is that through the years, my partner that I have now and partners I've had in the past really preferred the real me. And that's one of the reasons I think that I decided with this channel to just put the real me out there. So yes, I have a Subaru. Yes, now I have a Ram. Yes, I love to overland. Yes, I love to backpack and hike. All of those things are really valuable. One of the most valuable things to me is being somebody who likes to inspire people. I feel like my life purpose is to inspire. And so it's super important to make sure that you know who you truly are and to embrace that and to hold on to that. Hold on to who you truly are, because in the end, people are going to be attracted to you for who you truly are. Just like this channel. If somebody doesn't like what I'm talking about right now, they leave and they go away, and I'm fine with that. Because what I really want at the end of the day is a subscriber base of people who just are really empowered and feel very empowered and feel very inspired and feel very connected to the brand and to me. And if somebody is going to be a troll and make some negative comment on my channel, I really don't want that anyway. So I'm more than happy to be truly who I am and let the right people be drawn to who I am, both on this channel and in life. I think what I came to learn in that process was how codependent I was at the time. Making sure everybody else's needs were met and forgoing what was important for me to be happy really was a codependent act. And there's nothing wrong with maintaining a little bit of boundary and balance in your own life so that you can hold on to who you truly are. And at the end of the day, everybody's going to be happier for it. I think another really important aspect of what I need to share with you today is that you need to constantly be expanding. You need to be open to constantly learning new things. If you're not expanding, your life is going to become stagnant. You're going to become sedentary, and you're going to find yourself in a rut. You're going to be unhappy, depressed, and all of those things. When you feel like you are truly constantly expanding in whatever way, shape, or form is valuable to you, whether that be spiritual, whether that be learning new things, whether that be adventure, whether that be in love, whatever that is, you need to be embracing that and constantly working toward expansion in that part of your life to maintain, in my opinion, a true level of balance and happiness. I also think that you need to have a partner that supports you in that expansion. They need to know what it is that you need to constantly expand, just no differently than you need to totally and truly understand your partner enough to know what it is that it's going to take for them to constantly expand. Because if we aren't constantly expanding, our life becomes stagnant. When our life becomes stagnant, we fall into a rut, we get depressed, we don't get along with our partners and whatnot. And I think it's really important just to make sure that you and your partner, or if you're in a relationship by yourself, it doesn't really matter, that you really truly know what it takes to be always expanding. Another really important aspect to the way I live my life now is simplicity. For those of you that watch my channel, you've probably seen past videos where I've read a book called Voluntary Simplicity. That book has really helped me quite a bit to simplify my life and to really take charge of my life and really understand what it is that's important to me, what makes me tick, and to shed the things that aren't really all that valuable to me, the things that take up too much of my time, waste my time, because frankly, all we have is time. Yes, I'm talking about how to leverage information online to make money, and yes, this is a financial discussion, but at the end of the day, there's only one thing that we truly have, and that is time. And when we use up our time, we're using up our most valuable assets. So it's really important to look at what it is you have in your life that's taking up your time and decide whether or not it's really all that important and all that valuable to be pursuing. Because if it's not, you can free up some of your time and you're gonna be much happier for it. And that goes as well for in a relationship. There's oftentimes people are pursuing a shared dream or are trying to deal with a shared situation, and there's ways to make it more efficient. If you can make it more efficient and open up more free time, it's really important to do that. And a lot of us will just jam-pack our lives full of stuff, and we're always busy and we're running around like chickens with our head cut off. And there's really something valuable to this idea of embracing simplicity and embracing the art of doing nothing. There are times in my life when I sit back and I purposely do nothing. I sit back and just watch the aspen leaves blowing through the trees, or watching a moose walk by. Take pause. And I think that's really important, because when we do that, we slow time down, we start to really see how valuable the little moments are that we allow to slip by because we're too busy in our day-to-day social lives that are so fast-paced. Now, I am talking about spending time leveraging information online to make money, and there's a process to doing that, and sometimes it does take a lot of your time. But that's why I'm talking about finding something that you're truly passionate about. Because if you're truly passionate about this thing, you're not wasting your time. You're doing something that you love, and in the end, it's going to be able to be something that can sustain you and maybe even sustain your family. You know, sometimes I can be categorized as a dreamer, but there's a difference between a dreamer and a doer. One of the compliments I got from my own son at one point was, my son told me, "Dad, one thing I really think is special about you is that you do what you want to do." And yes, I have lofty dreams. I've told you about some of those dreams in some past videos, but I'm also a doer. I look at what it is that I want to accomplish, and what I do is I look at that finished, let's say, look at the goal line, and I imagine myself at the goal line, and then I back myself out from that, and I look at the steps necessary that I had to take to get to the goal line, all the way back to where I am today, and I can sort of visualize a pathway to get there. Now, it's not always going to be exactly the way I envision. There are going to be obstacles that come up, there's going to be hurdles, but for the most part, I take small steps every day toward that goal. I think when you do that over time, and hopefully a shorter period of time than a longer period of time, but it doesn't really matter, you eventually accomplish that goal. I think if you're in a situation like that right now, it might help you to not feel so strapped down, to sort of visualize yourself at a certain place that you want to be, and sort of, in a way, create a virtual path to that, and take small steps every day toward it. If you at least are taking small steps toward it every day, or you're at least learning something new in order to be able to expand your life that will eventually allow you to be in that place, you can actually release some of that anxiety you might hold, or strife that you might have, or negativity, or even anger toward the people around you for feeling like you're strapped down. And again, this all comes back to being your own boss. Knowing that if you're unemployed or you've been furloughed or something like that, that you are not completely dependent on that employer or that boss. You are your own boss, and you have an opportunity. I always see everything as an opportunity. Don't see things as a detriment. If you get laid off or you got furloughed, now you're self-employed, see it as an opportunity to have some time to truly grow and expand. Don't just sit back and necessarily binge watch 4Expedition YouTube videos. Take some of that time and learn something new and expand and grow. And with that growth, maybe it'll allow you to become more self-sufficient. So don't just look at the things that you want in your life in the future as a dream. Look at them as something that you can accomplish and become a doer. Take a small step every day to make that happen. All right, so I know I got a bit long-winded there, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background about my philosophies on life and how I'm able to do what I do, and why I've made it a priority to live my life this way. I have to say that it's really been a truly remarkable experience for me to be able to live this way. I'm able to work on my laptop and connect to the internet through my hotspot on my phone, and sometimes work out in the middle of nature and work on things that I'm truly passionate about, and every day set new priorities to be able to take one step forward toward my goal every day. So I'm always feeling like I'm a doer, learning something new every day, so I feel like my life is expanding, and meeting new people and feeling like the network that I'm building of people around me who have information about things that I want to know about, that have that information to share, I can basically lean on to learn the things that I want to learn in order to be able to constantly expand my life. All right, so enough on all that. If you're interested in learning more, I have a course that I'm working on putting together, and you can stay tuned for that. That'll be available eventually on 4expedition.com. All right, so let's talk a little bit about adventure. So I've got an adventure coming up on Sunday with my partner Amy. We're going to go away for about 4 days in the 4Expedition Ram Rebel Overland Explorer. We'll be heading over to Great Basin National Park, which is located on the Utah-Nevada border, and we'll be spending some time in that national park. And then we'll be rendezvousing with Northwest Overland. They've got a group of about 10 or 12 people that are making their way from Seattle all the way down, and they're taking some historic, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but they're taking a historic road across Nevada, and they're going to meet up with us at Great Basin National Park for a couple of days. So that should be pretty interesting. I'll be filming that. While we're there, Amy and I will be hiking up to the bristlecone pine forest, which is above the tree line in that national park. And what you'll discover is that the bristlecone pines are about 5,000 years old. They're some of the oldest living organisms on the planet. So I'll be sharing all that with you as well. Should be a really exciting trip. And then at the end of this month, we'll be leaving Park City, Utah, and my partner Amy and I are going to be embarking on a 3-week-long adventure in the truck. And I'm not even sure where we're going to go, but I'm going to share all that with you as well. It should be really exciting. She got herself a paddleboard, so we should be doing some paddleboarding. We're going to be doing some off-road overlanding, some camping, some staying in some little cabins. We're going to be doing some hiking in some national parks and what have you. It should be really exciting. All right, so outside of that, the last thing I wanted to share is that 4Expedition had some events scheduled for June of this year and July of this year, this month. But we had to cancel them due to the current situation in the world. And so we rescheduled them for fall. Our first one is now scheduled for September. It's an overland trip, a meetup, and we'll be meeting up at Edge of the World, which is a place between Sedona, Arizona and Flagstaff, Arizona, right on the Mogollon Rim on a cliff in the Ponderosa Pine Forest, one of the largest Ponderosa Pine Forests in the world. And we'll be camping in a spot that overlooks all of Sedona. It should be absolutely extraordinary, beautiful. I've stayed there on a number of occasions by myself, and this will be the first excursion that 4Expedition's putting together where we'll have other people involved. So you can go to 4Expedition.com, go to excursions, go to the group events, and you'll be able to find that information in there. All right, so anyhow, if you haven't become a subscriber to my channel, of course, I encourage you to become one. And of course, be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified of upcoming videos. And if you'd like to support 4Expedition, go to 4Expedition.com, go to the store. We have a lot of great products in there you can buy. And if you'd like to become a member, which we have a couple of new members, and I really appreciate that new membership, go to patreon.com/4Expedition. Your support goes a long way to creating quality content for this channel. Until the next time, take care.